Hey everybody, this is going to be a real short video on installing a new valve and extension cable on my Passport Series, XL Series Passport camper. As you can see, the gray water tank up here in the front is very hard to get to. So unless you have the pop out pushed all the way in, it's very difficult if you want to camp out and fill your tank and then drain it once in a while, as opposed to leaving it open and getting it all cooked up. There's a black, you can't see, there's a black and gray in the back, but it's also gray in the front. Not the most convenient thing in the world, but you know, here we are. So I'm going to install the TC172. Hopefully this will give me a little bit more flexibility with this cable installed, and I should be able just to reach right here, if it all works out well, and open up on the fly. So let's see how it goes. And so the first thing that I have to do is I have to remove these 4 8mm bolts on the front, and I believe these are 10mm bolts on the back. I'll do that and get back. Okay, we have the old one off laying next to the new one, and you can see how similar they are. And so in theory, you should be able to pick this up and just lay this over here and make the connection. But as you can see, nothing is ever that simple. These will not come out, and as you can see, the newer one has longer bolts. So what we're going to have to do is cut these off, and then we'll just come in from the other direction and put the nut up here and fasten it, which won't be a big deal. But you can see, because of the side profile here, it has this extra width over here, because it does, it accommodates the cable, which this one doesn't have. So they give you longer screws. But yeah, first snag, but not the end of the world. Okay, snapped all the bolts off, and I just simply took this and slid it in on the side, put it here. Before doing so, I did replace the seal, and don't forget there is another seal here. So the package comes with 2. I suggest, if you have them, use them. Even if the other one is new, it's always best to put the freshest seal you can when you're working on a job. And let me get this position back up and put a bolt back on it, and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, it's technically installed. Small update is, which I didn't realize, there is an extra flange here, you can see, that's not over here. So I really didn't have to cut these bolts, I could have left them in. So it always pays a dry fit before you do a job, but that's okay. I came with 4 new bolts, so we're good to go. These 2 bolts are longer, and I can tell you that you will need an 8mm on this side and a 10mm on this side. So technically this is in, and I just need to run the cable, and we'll get back. Okay, so just a quick recap. The valve is in. The cable is not connected to this yet, but you can see once it will open and close. I get my hand in there. There we go. Yeah, also you might want to make sure you drain it before you open it up too. So the bracket I had was sort of generic. You probably saw it in the box, but I had to take and bend it, cut a piece out, and fabricate it. So this is where the handle will go. And make sure you test it before you do that the slide doesn't bump it or doesn't hang too low. As you can see, it is not the lowest hanging spot here, so it should be safe. And in reality, it's about the same height as the valve itself, so it should be good. A lot of you won't have this problem because you may not have this bottom covering on, and as you can see here, the way they decided to install this is they decided to shoot nails with a .22 caliber right through the frame. So if this ever has to come off, you can pretty much count that as a loss and have to redo it. So what I did is I bent this and I drilled a hole, and I just used, after I get a good size hole in there, I used a self-tap screw and put that in. That is the that I used, and I know it will fluctuate for everyone. I use these and they come in handy. I don't think they're going to rust, but anyways, I use those and 1/4-inch driver on the end. But you still will have to drill a hole through that steel, otherwise these things will just wear out like a drill bit. And so let's get the cable in there and get it adjusted, and we'll take it from there. Okay, got everything wrapped up. You can see the valve is closed. Once you cut this cable to length and feed it in there, and it's pretty easy to feed it in. Essentially, you just measure what you have sticking out, and then you just make sure you have, like in this case, it was about 4 inches of this cable. So when I had to cut some of the slack off, and you'll see I have a lot of excess slack, just make sure that you pull the cable all the way out before you cut this. Nice clean cut, and then make sure you still have the 4 inches sticking out when you're done. So when you put the cable back in, it's going to really stick out, and then you can cut it after you cut this tube. But as you can see, I ran it up here, and it's a little tight down here. Here's the cable. Open. This tab comes off. Closed. So see? Open and closed. So now, because of this, when I have the side of the camper open, now I'll have to crawl down here and open up the gray water. They also have these for the black too. The black, I believe, is 3 inches. The gray is 1.5 is what you want on this one. And that's a wrap. Hope it's been a help for a few people. If so, let me know. I'll keep making these as I can. I'm not a professional, but I'm just like the rest of you guys. You know, you got to figure it out. All right, take care.